From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ijoma Onyato.
Hello and welcome. Operatives of the Nigeria Customs Service intercept over $8 million at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, arrest airport staff over incident. Nigeria signed tripartite agreement for the repatriation of over $318 million or 115.9 billion naira, funds to be used on the Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kano expressways, as well as the second Niger Bridge projects. President Buhari formally unveils Nigeria Visa Policy 2020 as part of measures to attract specialized skills, enhance business opportunities, and achieve African integration. And the World Health Organization says coronavirus outbreak does not yet constitute a pandemic as death toll from disease rises to over 400. Plus, we'll have business, sports, news from Abuja, the FCT, and then later on, we'll head off to our studios in London.
On Business News tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission presents 12-page document on rules for trading to set the ball rolling for a thriving derivatives market in Nigeria.
On Sports News tonight, Nigeria's Enyimba International FC know their opponents in the quarterfinals of the CAF Confederation Cup in tomorrow's draw.
And from Abuja, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, calls for downward review of salaries of political office holders, says drastic action needed to tackle insecurity in the country.
Proper surveillance, clamp down on illegal movement of foreign currency and stopping money laundering are just some of the strategies the Nigeria Customs Service is adopting to help the government's fight against corruption. And that's aside from monitoring the nation's borders against infiltration of contraband. Today, the service announced that it intercepted the sum of $8.06 million at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, reportedly stashed in a car as it was about to be loaded onto an aircraft. The Customs Controller General, Mr. Hamid Ali, says the vehicle belonged to the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, NACO, while the driver of the vehicle, who is a member of staff of the company, has been arrested. Mr. Ali explains that the money was wrapped in large brown envelopes labeled with the names of the recipients it was to be delivered to. The customs chief said the consignment remains in safe custody while preliminary investigations have commenced on the seizure. He appeals to Nigerian travelers and those in business to declare any cash if they choose to carry such, adding that the threshold still remains $10,000. And more looted funds stashed abroad will be repatriated. And that's the new agreement signed by the federal government with the United States and the island of Jersey for the repatriation of over $318.4 million. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the pact was signed on February the 3rd in Washington, D.C. According to a statement from the ministry, the funds, which were reportedly looted by former head of state General Sani Abacha, will be used to fund three major projects: the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Abuja-Kano Expressway, and the second Niger Bridge. The Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, signed the agreement on behalf of the federal government. The Assistant Solicitor General of the island of Jersey signed on behalf of the island, while the Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the U.S. Department of Justice signed on behalf of the American government. Now let's stay with Nigeria's relationship with the rest of the world. Going forward, visitors to Nigeria now have 79 classes of visa to choose from 3 categories, while the recently introduced visa on arrival policy is also restricted to only a certain category of visitors. These are some of the clarifications contained in Nigeria's Visa Policy 2020, which President Muhammadu Buhari presented today at the State House in Abuja. Security, ease of doing business, boosting tourism and Africa integration are some of the benefits listed. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
It's official. The Nigerian Visa Policy 2020 comes on stream. The 87-page document holds the revised visa regime. It's an upgrade from 2017.
The Nigerian Visa Policy 2020 is intended to attract innovation, socialize skills and knowledge from abroad to complement locally available ones.
Security of the country is an important consideration, so its operationalization.
Migrant information and that analysis is in all our airports. What does it mean? It means that whoever visits Nigeria will have his biometric taken. All your fingers will be taken. And immediately that is done with what he told you about of I-24/7, Interpol 24/7. You are immediately exposed to the database of Interpol. And everything about you, if you have a criminal record, universally, is exposed.
Key features of the new policy is the introduction of 3 categories of visa and expansion of classes of visa from 6 to 79. The visa on arrival policy is enhanced.
You can take your bag and come to Abuja airport or any of the 4 airports. You will get a visa at the point of entry. And we have explained that this visa at the point of entry is stronger than the visa you can get at other missions because we have only 18 biometric issuing centers in the world.
At the moment, such visa on arrival are only available at the airports in Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt and Abuja. The classes of visa have their unique codes. For instance, tourism visa is F5A, journalist visa F7A, while businesses are F4A, B and C. Other codes are R for temporary residents and N for permanent residents. In all, it requires diligent multi-sectoral collaboration for effective implementation and to derive the benefits intended. Crucially also is that officers and men of the Nigeria Immigration Service must work professionally in a timely and transparent manner. From the Aso Rock Villa, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
Now we'll take another look at the new Visa Policy 2020 a bit later on in the bulletin. And at the time we do that, I'll be joined by the former Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Ambassador Demola Onofowokon. But we'll do that a bit later. Now let's move on to another subject of interest. In recent years, widespread insecurity has cost Nigeria a staggering number of human lives and property. Equally staggering, an estimated 8 trillion naira is the total amount that the Nigerian government has pumped into defense and other security arrangements over the past decade through the annual budgeting cycle. Yet the full economic cost of insecurity on Africa's most populous country and economy is still a way off. Tonight we kick off our special series of Counting the Cost of Insecurity in the Country with Channels Television's business editor, Bosno Mofae, providing insight into why Nigeria needs to start counting the economic cost of insecurity.
Insecurity crept into Nigeria's public discourse about a decade ago and has remained dominant with its attendant cost on the economy, business and social life. Although the primary discourse about insecurity focuses on the human costs, the damage done to the national economy, business and investments are yet to be properly counted and dimensioned. Taking the toll on the economy is terrorism and kidnapping, armed robbery, communal killings and herdsmen-farmers conflict, among others. In 2013, the Jonathan's administration estimated the impact of the bloody Boko Haram insurgency as 0.5% of the country's GDP. Since then, the spate of insecurity has dented agriculture output and make internal trade and logistics more difficult.
How do we make our environment the most desirable place for people to invest and people to live? So we'll be looking at things such as human movement, we'll be looking at creating new jobs, we'll be looking at infrastructure, we'll be looking at education.
The Buhari's administration has been throwing good money at fighting insecurity since it came on board nearly 6 years ago. In the 5 years to President Buhari's first term in 2015, Nigeria's security budget stood at a total of 4.62 trillion naira. The cumulative effect of insecurity was that Nigeria spends less on critical areas such as healthcare and education.
Happy to see you. Yes, you are welcome. Nigeria was ranked in 2018. We're not among the lowest in terms of literacy, but in 2019 we became the 8th lowest in literacy. In other words, our education spend both at the federal and state level is not catching up with what is required. So Nigerians have become more illiterate, right, in the global ranking.
While the government at all levels continue to pour more funds into defense, the business sector continues to count the cost across the country, and in particular, the most restive Northeast and the North Central. Moving forward, the greatest threat that insecurity poses to Nigeria may be in the area of economic diversification from oil into non-oil areas like agriculture, exports, and industrial manufacturing. And as President Buhari's administration continues its second term in office, the high level of defense spending will likely remain, and the attendant costs on the economy will continue to climb. Bosin Omofaye, Channels Television News.
We'll have another look at the cost in our economy, but let's take a look at our politics that's spilling over outside our shores. A coalition of civil society groups comprising the Imo State Patriots, South Africa, among others, have staged a protest in Johannesburg calling for a reversal of the Supreme Court ruling on the state governorship election and for the judges to resign. The protest march made a first stop at Nigeria's Consulate General before moving to the U.S. Consulate. They are insisting that the former governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, be reinstated to continue what they described as the good work he's been doing. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, reports.
The protest march moved from Hillbrow, Johannesburg Central, and ended up at Nigeria's Consulate General in Ilovo, where a memorandum of demands was handed over to the Minister Political and Protocol, Mwabiela Ezenwa, who commended them for keeping their protest peaceful.
And we want to assure you that we are going to do our best to contribute to help others.
From my layman point of view, the Supreme Court is not allowed to award votes. And if they have been given the mandate to award votes, they should do us a favor to tell us that their mandate now includes awarding of votes. Yes. Then we can now say, okay, maybe we are wrong. And the history of that Supreme Court shows that they have been compromised. We are not only here to tell them to do the right thing, we are telling them to also resign.
The marchers then moved on to the U.S. Consulate General in Sandton, where another memorandum was handed over. But we asked why the U.S. is being involved in this.
Being the position they occupy in the world, we believe that if they buy into if we tell them what is happening, and if they pick interest, it will make it known to the world, so that the injustice will be reversed.
Emeka is the right person that Imo's people elected, and he was already doing a great job. There's a lot of construction, a lot of policies that we wanted to continue. So that's why we're already crying. We have never demonstrated for any governor or any government before except this.
The members of the All Progressives Congress APC in South Africa did not stage a counter-protest as witnessed in Abuja, but they hope that the opposition and their supporters will accept the Supreme Court judgment and move on.
If there is any reason to reverse it, which I doubt, because the Supreme Court knows what, they didn't just come up with the judgment to favor anybody. They have reasons, which they've explained why. APC now is trying to allow the people's mandate, yet PDP doesn't want that. They continue crying foul. I think if I should advise them, they should let peace reign and allow the courts to do their job.
Asked if the outcome of a review, should it happen, be accepted, both sides insist they will only accept a just outcome, which interestingly has a different look from its side. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Senate President inaugurates ad hoc committee to look into the current security architecture of the country. That's coming up in a moment. Please join us again.